Okay, good evening. Tonight is December 9th, and this is the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is a couple of agency requests, which is CASA and also White House Recovery. Then we're going to do economic development, welfare, the electric department, and also the consideration of minutes. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and if I could ask Paul Mohammed to lead us.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything you want to talk to us about before we start?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Any member have any questions or concerns before we start? Okay, seeing none, could we have someone from CASA come up, please?
Under the agency grants tab, page 168.
Yep. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Frances Mitchell, a CASA guardian ad litem, and I'm filling in for Tara Bergeron this evening. We're asking the town to contribute $1,000 to support the 10 children in Wolfeboro who have CASA advocates. Due to the anticipated demand that COVID virus has placed upon the system and the continuing effects of substance abuse, we're looking to recruit and train at least one more advocate in order to meet the anticipated demand for services in your area. CASA of New Hampshire was founded in 1989. The organization serves every district and family court in the state. Currently, CASA of New Hampshire supervises and supports 614 advocates across the state. Our goal is to increase that base number so that we can accept 100% of the cases. If CASA cannot provide an advocate, the court is mandated to pay a board-certified guardian ad litem who bills the state $60 an hour plus travel cost. We save the state an estimated $5.3 million in guardian fees. When you support CASA of New Hampshire, your contributions benefit the children from the town of Wolfeboro and the children who are in relative or foster care placement who use the town and community services. Thank you for your support. Are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions for the CASA? Can you just tell us, where this is being filmed, can you just tell us a little bit about your services so the folks can learn about it?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you just tell us a little bit about your services so the folks that are gonna watch this later will know what you guys do and where they can find your help if they need it?
That CASA advocates that work with the children
Yeah.
do? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, please.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am appointed by a court to represent children who are in abuse and neglect situations or neglect situations. I represent the child, or we represent the children. I'm just gonna say I, because this is what I do. And I represent the child or children. At this moment, I'm actually representing 5, not from this town, but and I go and meet with the children at least once a month. I am in contact with all of the doctors, the school. A lot of children are in special ed, so I make contact with them, and I make a report to the court. And then at the end, the cases usually take about a year. It can be 6 months, at least 6 months. Usually they do extend to a year. And we go into court and we make recommendations to the judge. So DCYF is making a recommendation, and I am making a recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. Okay, is there a representative from White House here? White House Recovery.
Thank you. My name's Mitch Yetton. I'm the CEO and founder of Whitehorse Recovery. Whitehorse Recovery is a behavioral health agency. We started off as just a substance use disorder addiction agency, but 2 years ago, due to the mental health crisis and what was going on, we rebranded and we brought on licensed clinical mental health counselors, licensed clinical social workers, and we expanded what we did to mental health services in addition to substance use disorder. We also expanded the age range, so we now service anybody ages 6 years and up because of what we were seeing it was going on with a lot of the children in the area and some of those issues there too. Now, I know we were here at the last meeting and some questions have been brought up too, and I tried to address those, but I can just hit on those kind of quickly. We operate in two different parts of the business. Part one, which we get some funding from Carroll County, is for clinical services. Clinical services are our licensed clinicians who do IOP sessions. Those are intensive outpatient sessions. They do clinical counseling sessions, intervention, and stuff like that. The other part of the business, which 4 years ago we opened due to need and in a contract from the state, is for a resource center. In the resource centers, we provide case management, recovery, coaching, food, showers, laundry, transportation, whatever is needed. I'll give you an example. This week, I just got done, actually a little while ago, working with someone that came in who had just become homeless, was in need of services, residential services of which we couldn't provide. So we spent 2 days trying to find them a place to go and to put them. So we put them in a hotel for 2 days. We paid for that. We paid for their food. We paid for their transportation. We had 2 people that worked with them over the course of 2 days, and we finally got them placed today. So we got them into a facility. So had that not been happening, we hadn't been there. I know they'd been to a couple of different places trying to get help, and someone sent them to us. They probably would have been on the street. And it was too cold, we don't allow that. So we do that a lot. If we have somebody that comes in and we work as hard as we can, it's very difficult to find housing now, if not impossible. Even just temporary housing. Green Mountain right now has a respite, but they're shut down due to COVID. Most of the housing is shut down now due to COVID, so we can't get people in, so we're really struggling. So that side of the business is what the towns help support. They help support those services, that we don't charge anything for that. So we do those services free of charge, even transportation, which is significantly increased in our budget this year, just because of fuel prices and stuff have gone up. So those towns feed into it. So our resource center that serves this area is in Center Ossipee. So the towns that feed that resource center are Wakefield, Tuftonboro, Effingham, and Ossipee. Those are the 4 that we currently have. And then, so this year we came to Wolfeboro to ask for some support similar. Now, what came out of the last meeting, 2 of the questions that came out was, well, can we get funding if the county gives us funding? And that was determined 4 years ago we could take the funding from towns, but it can't be used for clinical, right? And we can take money from the county, but it can't be used in the towns. So it's kind of a...
For the shed.
Yeah, the resource center, the shed. So we separate those 2 things. So the county funding goes to help offset our loss. So this year, we'll have given away $360,000 worth of services that people they come to us, they can't pay. They have Medicaid. Medicaid only pays about 60% of what it costs to serve. So Wolfeboro last year, for example, consumed around $43,000 to $50,000 worth of services. We got reimbursed for just north of 20 on that. So we paid the rest. So we don't that's not what that's what the county helps us with. So every town here, I mean, even little Effingham contributes quite a bit to our costs. So all those towns contribute in, and the county helps offset that. Not all of it. We have to go to private funders. We have churches that help us. We have support comes from a lot of, probably 20 different locations that we get pieces from that help do it. Heck, most of my job is trying to find money to keep us going. Our highest expense, 80% of our cost is in payroll, and those are the clinicians and the people that support these people coming in. So the other part that you do goes and comes back in. So the county determined that yes, we could do this as long as we kept that line of separation, which we do. I report monthly to the county what it is we spent the money on, where it goes. And this year it's even changing up more to really focus it more over, because we're getting a lot more people coming in that can't afford our service. And we're seeing a wider range of ages too. So our
Well,
gap
yeah,
is growing.
But we're regardless of ability to pay, we always serve
Yeah,
whether they
yeah,
can
yeah.
afford us or not.
Yeah, we don't, the first thing we ask is not for their insurance card. It's, we do an assessment, find out what their need is, and then we work to help them with insurance. We do insurance navigation too, and try to help them get insurance if they don't. So a lot of them come through and they don't have any, by the time we're done with them, they do. You know, it's Medicaid typically, but
So the funds that you're asking for us to provide are not medical, not counseling, it's more for
services.
home housing and.
Yeah, it could be for a temporary transitional housing. It could, we've helped people with their rent. So we've had people come in because they're in treatment, and when they're in treatment, they aren't working. So they have challenges, and the worst thing can happen is they lose the way they live, right? So we help offset that. We help offset food. We bring in food from the food banks, and we distribute food. I mean, I don't know if you saw the county, we transported 39 boxes of food in this last food bank and delivered it to people for them.
So if I could jump in with some layman's terms, what the county pays for is what is billed to an insurance company. If somebody comes in for professional counselors, a LADAC, which is a drug and alcohol counselor, or a regular counselor, that type of thing, what is billed for insurance, that's the clinical, that's what the county helps offset. The shed, or the RCO, or the Resource Recovery Center, what that translation is, that's a more informal kind of catch-all. It's where somebody goes, if they're just starting to think about recovery, they can get free food, free internet, just talk to a recovery coach. A recovery coach is somebody who's been through treatment and is out the other side, and they'll just kind of informally talk to them. It's not as structured, but it's very professional all the same. And then it's everything else. We have Friday night dinners. There's a camaraderie that builds up. So we try to draw them into the clinical side with an informal kind of just get to know us. As they go through the clinical, the Resource Recovery Center, the shed, the more informal thing, helps solidify their progress. It's kind of like a ratchet, you know, it doesn't let them backslide. And then once they graduate and get out, it helps them stay on the sober side of life. So that, and then it's all the rest of this. It's kind of like whatever else. It's what falls through the cracks. That's what the informal side
Just give you
does.
a quick example, what we're working on for Wolfeboro. So in 2022, our goal is to put a van over here and put a certified recovery support worker in Wolfeboro a day a week. And we'll transport people from Wolfeboro to Ossipee to get the services, and then we'll bring them back. So this is something we've started talking about. We're gonna talk to a lot of the towns and the welfare groups and see how we can better support that. We just had our first, actually this whole process kind of helped us start that engagement.
Yeah, we had a very nice meeting with Amy within a week or so, I think, after our last meeting, and we only talked about the budget for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we talked about 2 hours about how we can work together, how we can help them. There's some needs where we can help some people that are going through a program that's already offered through another agency. We can help them move along in it and not just be kind of getting distracted and not doing the progress they should. We can kind of usher them along. And then, as Mitch said, we can bring them out for showers and that kind of thing.
So the other thing I want to talk about was the ask. The original ask was $10,000. The reason it was 10, so Wakefield does 5, Ossipee does 5, Tufton DeVille does 3, and Effingham does 1. So the reason we had the $10,000 ask is in Wolfeboro, we also do 24/7 emergency support services to Huggins Hospital. Now, we see approximately 40 people a year through that, and it's all hours of the day, whenever. Last month, I didn't think we did 7 emergency calls into that location. After talking with Amy and working through it, I determined that, not everybody that goes into that's actually from Wolfeboro. They could be from anywhere, right? So I made an adjustment, and I took our ask. I basically took Huggins out of that ask and just made it for just the clients we currently see, which is pretty close to Wakefield and Ossipee, and made it 5. So I brought it down to the same ask as we do in the other towns.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Question.
We can just go, ask me, and I'll say, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Some order, go ahead.
Beg your pardon, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
On your backup information, agency contact information, I'm looking at the funding sources. And I see the $5,000 in this line for amount of funding requested from Wolfeboro for 2021. I'm assuming that's 2022.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
And actually, I had to make a correction on that.
Okay, but below that,
Yeah.
you get some inconsistency in your numbers. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth line down, it talks about town grants.
Okay.
Carroll County towns. The plan for 2022 is 13,500. And if I heard the numbers you just talked about, adds up to more than 13,500. So what's right?
Well, Effingham back down, they only gave us 5 last year, so we upped it. So if you took 5 and 5 from Ossipee and Wakefield's 10, 3 from Tuftonboro, and then the 5, I can't assume Wolfeboro until we see it. So I don't know what we're getting. So that was a 13.5, just held it level with the year before.
Okay, is the 13.5 for the Carroll County towns, is that the number we should be looking at?
That's Carroll County, that's the current Carroll County towns. It does not include Wolfeboro.
Does not include.
No, so I get 5 from Wakefield, 5 from Ossipee, 3 from Tuftonboro, that's 13, and 500 from Effingham, so 13.5.
Okay, so you're basing it on what you have received in the past.
I can't, one of the things I can't do is build a budget unless I've never gotten it from here, so,
Okay,
right?
so if I was to look at the total town grants, I would have to take the $5,000 you're asking for and add it to the.
Yeah, it would get
13,500
added to that.
Total?
Yep,
Thank you.
yep, it would get added to that.
Let me do some math.
So,
If
One
I
of-
can ask you some questions also, just jump in before I forget what I'm gonna say. You're very fortunate because on the committee, you've got 2 members. One is the commissioner, Carroll County, and I'm one of the representatives on the delegation. And I can recall that $150,000 that I don't take lightly. I think that's a good chunk of change going to your organization. But I can't recall anything about it being assigned to certain things.
It was way back when we started. There was at one time, our first document had it in there. It had that. We also talked in that document about taking people regardless of ability to pay. So we wouldn't turn people away because they couldn't pay. That was part of that
But where
original
did it say it
agreement.
was directed for one particular use?
Well, I don't know where it's written down, but that's what was discussed 4 years ago.
Okay, I've been around, this is my second term, so I remember your budget used to be 50,000.
This was discussed with the commissioners. It was 4 years ago.
Okay. I don't recall them discussing it with the delegation. You met with our welfare director, Amy Muccio.
Yeah.
Who does an excellent job. And this community is very giving to helping people out, especially kids that need lunches and food and places to stay and things like that. And when I talked to Amy, I learned that I don't think you've done anything over the past years to help out any of our citizens as far as.
Well, we support,
May I
we've been.
just finish my question, please?
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. As far as taking anyone for showers or anything else, it's my understanding that hopefully next year, you'll be able to establish some program that will help out Wolfeboro residents that have that particular need. Is that a fair statement?
No, we have people that come to us today that, a lot of the people coming with clients that are from Wolfeboro also utilize the shed. But there's a group of people here that we haven't seen. There's a homeless group here that we haven't seen in the past. We really learned more about it from Amy when we went there. So we do support Wolfeboro today. We also support Kingswood Youth Center, so we're in there 1 day a week. I put somebody there to help, they help facilitate prevention Wednesdays and do that stuff in there. You know, plus we do support some of the, I mean, there are Wolfeboro people that use the 24/7 that we operate over there also, and we do transport. We've been doing transport in our Wolfeboro pretty much daily. We have someone that we do that goes to one of our treatments that we pick up and bring back.
Yeah, I mean, I would think if Mitch, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's a fair statement in that I think in general, out of the 17 towns in this general area we serve, typically Wolfeboro's number 2 or 3, as far as volume of clients that we have on both sides.
Yeah,
So-
it's in the
so to say
top
we
4
don't serve
consistently.
right Wolfeboro, no, I would not say that's fair.
How much do you get, who's the number one? Is it Conway?
Conway has the most.
How much money do you get from Conway?
We haven't, there's another group up there that works, so we haven't stepped into Conway to try to take from, because I don't want to pull away from them. That's up there, so we haven't gone to that yet.
How much do you get from Osterby?
5,000.
And where were they on the list?
They're second. And Wolfeboro is a close third. You flip-flop between Wakefield and Wolfeboro. Wakefield's below Wolfeboro most of the time, and they were 5,000.
Yeah, you provided I guess a list of, shows a total of 214 individuals served for the entire county.
214, 200, yeah, it may be that without pulling that number out.
That's what you provided for your service of financial data.
Yep.
And that, you said 19 for Wolfboro, but that's not really accurate because some of those people that went to Huggins got included.
No, the 21's not Huggins, that's just Wolfeboro.
Okay, I don't have 21, I have that your service 19.
Let me see, pull my letter up. I think it was in the cover letter. Depends on when you pull the number. Yeah, on the cover letter that I gave you in August, I had, we were projecting 21 at that time. 177 units of service, $43,000 in expense. We were reimbursed 23,000. That was to date.
What efforts have you taken to contact the congressman, either Congressman
I'm on the,
Mathis or Custis or the 2 U.S. senators to increase the rates?
I'm on the governor's task force for substance use disorder, so this is a regular topic. New Hampshire's one of the lowest paid Medicaid states, and it's an ongoing fight.
Okay, thank you. I've got a question for Amy. Amy, I hate to put you in this spot, but is this something that you as the welfare director, that we should give it a year to see how it works out with this group, see if they provide the services that they're saying? If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You know, I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but I'm just going to ask you that.
I mean, it's entirely up to this board, but I think, from our meeting that we had after the budget committee, I think it turned out to be a useful meeting, because my job as a welfare director is to make sure we don't duplicate services. So some of the services that he's mentioning, there's things that I can cover, and then there's things that I can't. So with agencies, we would use their services where I couldn't cover it, such as if somebody was from Wolfeboro, they should be applying for rent from me. And then there would be a different cost that I can't cover that they can help. And I think out of that meeting, we learned, and so there's 2 different programs they have, and the shed is more of the services that we would use here in Wolfeboro, which is where they would have the warm place and a shower where I could send people. So we have a plan for the future to coordinate those services. I have not used it in the past.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
John?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, do you have is your fiscal year a calendar year or?
It's calendar year.
It is a calendar year. So I see in 2020, it looks like you operated at a loss of about $100,000. Revenue is about 907 and the expenditure about $1,030,000. In 2021, I think you were about $60,000 to $70,000 in the black. And you're projecting for next year about a similar spread, revenue approximately 70 or 75,000 over expense, so it's not like you're killing it financially here. John, I think 5,000 is a reasonable ask. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion, we allocate $5,000 to the White Horse Addiction Center for 2022.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? I'm not gonna support that motion, and the reason being is the county of Carroll gives $150,000 to this particular organization. I think they do a great job, but $150,000 going to one place from the county, we're all part of the county, we all pay taxes to the county, and I don't wanna see we're getting picked off, but if you're gonna ask for county money, you've gotta do it fairly. And we're getting Wolfeboro, Wakefield, how about asking Conway for some extra money? Why should we solely, as our taxpayers, be any different than any other town in the county? Should be asking Conway, should be asking all the towns for extra money, let each town decide, not just picking certain towns where they're gonna pull on our heartstrings. So again, I think we step up and we help out a lot, we give $150,000. If things work out, working with Amy, they said get a program going, something going strong, and it's a real benefit to the community. Now, certainly we support this next year, but this year I'm not going to support it. We're going through some tough times financially, a lot of people are, and every penny that we can save the taxpayers, I think is a penny well saved. So that's all I've got to say about that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in terms of our contribution to the Carroll County funds, that 150 you mentioned,
Yes.
are we a disproportionate amount of that already?
I'm not sure what you mean.
You know, the 150 that Carroll County contributes to this organization now, do we pay a larger share of Carroll County's funds that would mean that we're contributing more than other
Okay,
towns
can you answer that?
to the county?
It's just based on valuation. It's a tax. It's property tax, so it's based on valuation.
So that would mean we
I don't know how
probably
you
do
quantify
have a,
But we get to live in Wolfeboro. So
well, I guess I'm trying to figure out the economics.
we probably have a pretty good valuation because of
Right.
the lakefront property.
So, you know, I'm just trying to think that maybe we support the Carroll County contribution to this organization to a greater extent than some other towns.
Well, I think if you look at the services, how many people we send
Right.
compared to the other communities, like Conway, and they do a lot more cases up in Conway, and
Mhm.
Conway doesn't contribute anything, they take advantage of the $150,000,
Right.
so. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
You would, at least my impression is that they are representing that the funding that they get from the county has some restrictions to it as far as how they can utilize those funds. In other words, they're representing that it's just for clinical services. Is your position that that's not accurate?
I have a copy of the application, and it says $150,000 paid less the cost of insurance, non-reimbursed client services, and partial payment for Medicaid clients has increased. I can't recall that agreement, maybe Commissioner Platch can, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. The second question is, Amy, you had mentioned that there are, you know, on the topic of duplicating services, you had mentioned that there are some certain services, obviously housing and food and stuff like that, that we already support through the town welfare budget. But you said there were other elements of what they do that you cannot do.
So they have two programs. The $150,000 goes to the clinical program,
Yeah.
which is a completely separate program.
Yeah.
You know, not something you're looking for funding from
Yeah.
us for. Their other program they're requesting the funding for is the Shed, which is the recovery center, and similar, they wanna get one going here. And it's kind of a place, a warm place for someone to go hang out, have a cup of coffee. They have, recovery coaches there. So when not everybody is signing up for recovery, so you can kind of send someone there and they can hang out and chat with someone. Might take someone 5 times before they decide to take on their services. That is something I would have interest in using, because it's a warm place for someone to go hang out, have a hot meal, because we don't have a soup kitchen here. So that is something we lack. And take a shower when they're homeless. With those offers there, they have the ability to speak to someone about what's going on in their life. So that is the program they're requesting funding from, and that is the program that I would be interested in working with them more closely over the next year. It also has a van, which they can come pick up the person from Wolfeboro and take them to the shed.
So we service in that center, just in the center, Ospey Center, we service about 3,000 visits a year into that center. So one of the reasons we focus here is we have one in North Conway too, but it's really just getting started. It's nowhere near the capacity that this one is.
And obviously, it's not a next year thing. As of the meeting when we met, we said we can do this tomorrow. We could be here tomorrow. We're not like waiting to see if we get the funding. We will be doing this anyways. If you would reimburse us, that's fine. If we'll support it next year, that's fine. Sooner's better, but whatever.
My thoughts are, at least initially, would be if we could do a pay-as-you-go type situation, whereas if Amy has somebody that wants to utilize that services, if there's some way that we could fund her budget so she could essentially work with you folks. That way we're certain that it's services that are not being duplicated, and that services that are going for a resident, so we can see what the outcome is of your program.
I can tell you it'd probably be higher than what we're asking for if we start billing for that service. Because we're talking, it's from where we are to here, 17 miles each way in our van. I pay in a driver, and I'm not charging for that today. If I start charging for that, it's gonna go up considerably. And then if I start charging for services for the laundry, the showers, the food.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I understand it's
Yeah.
certainly much more, but I'm just trying to think creatively here until you get your roots.
Yeah, it wouldn't be turned away. We'll be doing the service anyways. If she can give us some piecemeal money, sure, that, of course, that'd be welcome. If I could, I'd like to, there's just 2 things that we do that isn't known. If I could just share that, I'd just appreciate a couple minutes for that.
Right now,
the
we're
other-
in the
sorry?
voting mode, where there's been a motion, we have to vote on the motion. Did anyone have any other questions? Any questions?
Call a question.
Okay. Okay, would you please do a roll call vote, please?
Bob Tupper,
Yes.
John Burt,
Yes.
Paul Mulholland,
Yes.
Brian Miller,
Yes.
John McDonald,
No?
Matt Fish,
No?
Bob Woman,
No.
and Tom Dial.
Yes.
So it's 5-3, so it passes.
Passes, motion passes. You have your $5,000.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And we will be working closely with Amy, and we'll show you getting your money's worth out of this.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got next here? Let's see. Someone here from Economic Development, hopefully? How you doing tonight, sir?
Hi there. I am Dave Marr of the Economic Development Committee. We're a town committee, ladders up to the Board of Selectmen, with the purpose of supporting the local businesses, communities, and driving economic development where we can. We're constituted by a number of the largest businesses in the community. We have membership from the CEO of Huggins. We've added Taylor, Brewster Academy, Kingswood, Goodhue Hawkins, Merrimack Valley Savings Bank, Molly the Trolley, and the Chamber of Commerce, all with an advocacy towards supporting the business community and the employees in town. So we're looking at a flat budget for next year. You'll see that some of the largest budget items for the EDC is basically a subsidy for the Chamber of Commerce, comes to our budget, as well as the fireworks for the last night. In addition, we do advertising to draw tourism into the area. Yankee Magazine, for example, is a area we've been advertising in the past. I will say that we're looking to make more of a pivot, though. We know that tourism is not the problem we have at this point. We're more in need of employees to support the businesses. So we're trying to figure out how we will be allocating our budget going forward to do so.
If I may interrupt, for people who are looking for it, it is in the planning and zoning on page 22, and the department is 46520 Economic Development.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I see everyone looking for it.
I know,
so I didn't get back to my seat quick enough, sorry.
Yeah. So, entertaining any questions or thoughts?
I just want to let you know that Vice Chairman Tupper has asked us we've asked him additional information from the Chamber of Commerce on line 380. So we're still waiting for that stuff from the Chamber.
Yes.
So we won't make any final determination on this until we get that stuff from the Chamber of Commerce. Does anyone have any questions about 381 down through 560, 562, 620, or 810?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Line 381.
Okay.
Sorry. The fireworks, is that first night?
That is, last
not-
night.
Not July 4th.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to talk about those fireworks. I came last year and asked you to put 2,500 in the budget for fireworks and promised to go out and raise the other 2,500 for the fireworks. I have done that. I did not use any of the surplus from the 4th of July. I went out, I raised $2,500, and we will have fireworks.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your hard work on this. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir, for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You play baseball?
Did you want to go to welfare at this point?
Yeah.
So,
I did right.
we're going to the general government tab. Page 25, welfare, department 44410.
Back.
What was the page number again, please?
25.
That is in tab 2, correct?
That is in tab 2, general government,
Thank you.
page 25, department 44410.
Okay, 100 series.
Yeah, that's a good bunch of them.
200 series. $300 series. 600. 800.
John?
Yeah, whoa.
Whoa.
What's going on with the welfare budget?
No, you can't.
No, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say here.
Okay.
8:45, I just want everybody to note, 2018, I think Amy came in about that time, or somewhere around there. So take a good look, because she's done quite a job. She's brought that line down quite a bit. And I think 2017 was worse. So she's done a very good job of keeping this
No, thank you.
under wraps.
So a lot of that is leading back to the conversation about not duplicating services. And part of a job as a welfare director is to refer to these agencies where they can help funding to separate and not have cross-tracking. I think a lot of that was going on previous. You had a lot of duplicated services. So it's really worked out well. And Whitehorse, I've never worked with them, so, you know, we'll work on doing that. And the other thing with Whitehorse, so I'm at Town Hall full-time, 8 to 4 p.m. And there the Ossipee Welfare Director works 4 hours a month, you know. So you have that comparison. She's not as accessible as I am. So he's probably not used to that. Same with Effingham. They don't have a full-time welfare access.
Bob?
I have a question on the same line, Amy.
Okay.
I think last year we had discussion, you had budgeted 40, and John and I were a little concerned about that, and we upped it to 50. But now I see, as at the end of October, you're at 40,000, and I was wondering if you're gonna come in under the 50 by the end of the year.
Did we look what I was today? We didn't. I think that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna make it.
Okay.
I do have the Warmth and More Fund, and I brought those figures with me. So they were able to raise $24,500 for that Warmth and More Fund. And today there's $13,000 in there, and they have a new campaign going to raise money. So I'll be using that solely for heating purposes.
Well, this is rent, so that's the same, so you good? 50's good?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay.
You want to see the thing?
The other line, if you have questions about that, that's the line I've been using to help folks out for cremation expense.
What line is that?
848,
Other?
yeah. I've seen an increase in that over the years, you know, when someone passes, they don't have the ability to pay that cremation expense. So both Lord's Funeral Home and Baker Gagney, I pay their minimum, and we're actually required by state law to help folks. Because if they abandoned the person, then they come to us anyway, so.
I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back on the White House funds.
Okay.
Would you be willing, if we were to put that $5,000 in your budget, to kind of monitor that?
Is like a billing system to them?
Whatever, yeah. I can't imagine we have that many people that would be going daily up there to use that, you know, are you aware of a bunch of people that are like that, or?
Okay.
I don't know, I just,
You know, so in the meeting with them, I've never had anyone really use that service or tell me that they're using that service. And of course, everybody doesn't always speak the truth or tell you what services they're getting, because you're not supposed to duplicate services. Out of our meeting, we talked about they have paid rent and those types of things. Well, for people from Wolfeboro, I've requested that from here on out, if they need help with their rent, they have to fill out a welfare application. It's in the state of New Hampshire, even when they go into a shelter, they need to have a welfare application from the town that they're from. Because if they violate the rules of the agreement of the shelter, then the town is no longer obligated to assist that person. that's it, you know, you had your chance and we're done. So it would be kind of a similar process, and we've talked about having that relationship. So if he has clients that are coming there requesting rent or food, and Wolfeboro is a very unique community. I can get food if you need food. We don't need to buy food. Our food pantry is fully stocked like a store.
Right.
So I plan to track it for the future and see what we have going for the next year.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'm happy when we come back next year to let you know how it went, or even give you a mid-progress update.
Yeah, I just was wondering how the first request was for 13 and 10,000, now another 5,000. I just tried to figure out how they were coming up with that particular number.
Typically, we don't give out the funds until about July of next year anyway, so there'll be some good time under their belt by the time, you know, this funding budget goes to them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You at a minimum wait for the March vote to make sure it goes in, and then we just can do it anytime after the March vote.
You don't automatically write a check out to everybody, or you do it quarterly, divide it up quarterly?
I believe that we pay all at once.
All at once?
We usually pay it all at once after the first round of tax bills.
Okay. Okay,
And
thank you.
I would also just state that if anybody's gonna leverage utilizing that agency, it would be Amy, and she knows how to work those agencies. And I think that
Okay.
if they're gonna step up to the plate, she's gonna make them step up to the plate.
Okay, good, thank you. Any other questions for Amy? Welfare Director? Okay, thank you, Amy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Yeah, you can do that in your spare time.
John, may I just ask a question? So technically in the budget, we have 10,000 for White Horse, and the motion was for 5,000. Does it matter that it should have been a motion to decrease by 5? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
We never did a motion to adopt the 10,000.
That's correct.
Okay. But that's the budget that was given to you, the 10,000.
Right, but we haven't approved this budget yet.
Right, but when the Board of Selectmen handed it to you, there was 10,000 in that line item, so your motion is really to decrease it to 5,000.
5,000, yeah, thank you.
You want an amendment on that, John? Or we're good?
I think we all know what
Okay.
it means, right?
The motion was to allocate, that's clear, I think.
Yeah.
It's to allocate 5,000. I don't think there needs to be another.
Okay, thank you.
We're talking about White Horse? No, no,
Yes.
White Horse.
I think,
It's just,
the commissioner's budget came in at 140 because of the contributions from the town.
Oh, really?
You'll get a check, you'll get your shot at it.
Okay. Okay, so now we've got the, what is it, electricity?
Electric fund, so here I'm taking you to tab 12, page 1 is 41550, personnel administration, so we did that the other night when we adjusted health and dental. So I'll take you to page 4, Department 41990, which is technology, which is just level funded for the electric department.
Okay, any questions on, technology services?
If not, you're gonna jump to page 6, which is electric administration, Department 43410.
Okay, a 100 series,
I have a question here.
go ahead, John.
I noticed that there's about a 20% increase in the hourly wages vary. You
Yes,
hired another person, or?
No, we haven't. We've actually proposed a promotion of our administrative assistant to assume basically an assistant director role geared towards administrative services, which is Judy Cormier, our administrative assistant.
This is Judy?
Judy. We're not gonna add an individual, but the role that Judy has undertaken down there, as you know, has grown over the years, and she does an excellent job. She jumps in and has assumed a role that, as she's learned the processes of, electric utilities, she's jumped in and been able to assume a much more key role in the decision-making process
Okay.
throughout. And this is really a deserved increase in my,
I know she's a very competent person.
she's
I've
extremely
interacted with
competent,
her on
yeah.
a weekly
She,
basis.
we are extremely fortunate. I think this is overdue.
I'm not questioning
Yeah.
it, I just wondered about it.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
that is what that represents.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thank her.
Okay, 200
We
series.
will, thank you.
300. 400. 500. 600. Got a question for Barry on 635, the gallons. We've seen different prices on different budgets. I think we had one that was 265 for highway, and you're at 322, and I'm just trying to figure out what the, who's got it.
I mean, it was, perhaps, Casey, can you add any insight on that? I know we took that the per gallon price right out of our budget preparation document, so I don't have a great answer. I mean,
Okay.
The per gallon, the quantity I can speak to, the price per gallon.
Yeah, that's for the little pickup trucks, the 2 little pickup trucks.
And the administrative, this would be for my truck, the Staker's truck,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Still on 635, John?
Yeah.
Is there, I guess the question comes down, we've got all these varying per gallon prices. Shouldn't we be settling on one throughout all the town
Yeah,
departments? that
my
use
plan
gasoline?
is to get to a point, hopefully next week, where we can go through all of the 635 lines in this budget and confirm. If there was an error in a couple of the budgets, we will get those corrected and hopefully come back to you with hopefully a lower number, not a bigger number.
Well, they're all consistent,
And they're not.
and they're not.
And we're all getting our fuel at the same place at the same price, so,
That's-
yeah.
so that's why I'm asking the question.
We just don't want anyone taking advantage of your department, Barry.
Yeah, you'll watch. I'm watching it, trust me, I'm on it.
Charging you the top dollar.
We feel bad enough on the administrative cost.
It's not him, it's
Yeah,
Judy.
you already hit me with that. I'm trying.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
680 safety equipment, is that just an annual purchase for
So,
equipment that has gone out of service, or?
the safety equipment for us is, obviously, we're electricity, our rubber goods, our rubber gloves, testing programs, fire extinguishers in all our vehicles. We also carry defibrillators in all our vehicles. So it would be for the purchase, upkeep, FR-rated clothing, and the apparel associated with working with live energy.
So that's pretty much an annual expense.
That's gonna be an annual expense. I mean, the rubber gloves fail pretty regularly. Trust me, we have to send them out every 3 months to get tested, and they're not cheap, but
Thank you.
it's better than getting burned, certainly.
I didn't realize that you have defibrillators in all your trucks, huh?
We do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we added 4 more last year, and I think it's a good
Oh, yeah,
thing.
that's great. I didn't realize that you guys had done that. That's excellent.
Yeah, we've all gone through the training, and we stock them, so.
Okay, 700 series. $800.
I have a question, John, on 830.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to ask this question because I've been seeing this for 20 years or something like that. Pilot program, payment in lieu of taxes. Can you explain that, please?
So, all utilities, because they have poles, wires out in the town, on the town's property, they are taxable by municipalities. We are the municipality, yet the town is still entitled to a portion of that taxation for our plant out on town property.
I'm sure you're making Brenda LaPointe very happy then. Thank you
I
for-
think this is, I'll be honest with you, John, we used to have this calculated by Department of Revenue Administration years ago.
Yes.
We used to have them come up, evaluate our plant in the field, and come up with a evaluation for it. Well, we haven't been able to get them to come up and do that in a number of years. So this number, I don't know, I don't feel great about it as being accurate. I think we're gonna have to work with them, or at some point,
Yes.
get a better feel for
We
it.
would have to pay someone to come out and assess his property. So is it worth that when it's him giving it to the town? I mean, excuse me, Electric giving it to the town? So that's why it's been status quo, because Department of Revenue is not going to do that service anymore,
Thank you.
so. Do we do that? I'm not sure it's worth it, but, you know. So it stays at the.
I've been educated, thank you.
Yep.
And, you know, I mean, I've been asked, why do I have a pilot on my staff? My personal aircraft, but no, it is.
To go with the
payment tax.
helicopter,
Yeah,
right?
right.
We have talked about helicopters, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. So,
Do you want to make a motion to increase that, John?
how we calculate it is we take the number that we had used and we use the tax rate, what the tax rate is that year. And that's how we've been,
But the money does go into town revenue.
Yes.
it goes into the general fund
Yeah.
Okay, we all set?
coffers, so
Okay, let's move on to, what we got next, administration?
distribution.
Page 14, Department 43420, electric distribution.
I'm sorry,
Page 14.
100 series.
I've got a quick
Yes,
question
sir.
on line 114, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's up by 25,000, is that another?
So we are bound to a contractual agreement with our line workers, so that is based upon that contractual agreement.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the overtime seems, are you expecting a disproportionate amount of overtime in the next October, November, December? I'm just looking at the straight average of what that 80,000 versus the 48,000 is.
Well, you can see that's the year-to-date. I will tell you, as you know, if you've lived here, it's been a pretty mild fall and spring. We didn't get into any hurricanes. We haven't, knock on wood, because it could happen tomorrow. We haven't had any major storm events where I'm calling in extra help, and we're working, 72-hour shifts at a whack. So we've been fortunate this year, but we have certainly had years we've exceeded the 80,000. So I feel comfortable with the number, let's put it that way. It's just, we've had a good year as far as storms go.
Thank you.
The first winter snowstorm will take down all the dead stuff too. The first storm knocks out the power all the time.
Brian, what are you doing to me? Don't jinx me. I don't need a jinx, I don't need a jinx. But
Barry, you mentioned about the contract with the line workers.
Yeah.
Do they get the same annual leave and sick time and all that other stuff as everyone else, or is that different?
yeah, so it's sort of a melding of personal contracts and the town's policies.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of all those benefits, et cetera, insurance is all based upon the town's policy.
Right, correct.
Now, this is the last year of our contract. Under administration, you'll notice we had bumped consultant.
Yeah.
And that was because as part of that contract in year 7, we had ensured them that we would do a pay and salary, a benefit study to ensure that they are being compensated at the same rate and equivalent to our IBEW line workers
Right.
from co-op
and Eversource. So that will be, next year will be the year that we do that. That's why the consultant line item went up,
Okay.
so.
Thank you. Okay, 200 series.
Retirement's always.
300 series. That outside service, that's tree trimming and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I tell you, I keep bumping it. I'm trying to get back to playing catch up with our tree trimming, and the costs that keep going up. So I did bump it 10,000 this year. We'll easily use all of that.
Yeah.
Certainly. Same thing with
400 series. $600.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Line 610? Got an increase of $20,000 on that general operating supply line. Is there anything in particular in there that's causing that?
nothing but inflation, Bob. We've just seen transformers, poles, all hardware, the price go up this past year tremendously, and the lead times go out 6-8 months to get stuff, so nothing more than
It's a result of inflation.
just
rather
a,
than-
yeah, just an increase in price and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else on 600?
Yeah, 635.
Okay.
Back to that same thing again with the price per gallon.
So I think we're consistent,
Part of
at
the
least
whole-
in this
part of
budget
the
on
whole
the,
exercise.
on the price, but
Yeah. I think what happened is that some departments used an estimate, and then we went out to contract, and some people picked up the contracted rate. So we will work on trying to get that consistent for you.
Yeah. Just
So
Yep.
is
So we
it
get some
322,
consistency.
is that what the contract is now for fuel, or?
No, I believe it's the 256, but I don't know that for a
Okay.
fact. I think this one was what was quoted to be used, as
Is that-
Barry
okay.
said.
if I could speak on the 800 series, I
Yeah,
can.
just give it a second to get
Oh,
there, Barry.
okay, yep.
700. 800.
Just pleased to announce that, travel and meetings and professional development, we will be graduating another one of our apprentice line workers in March, so that's why you're seeing this number come down, because this is the training and their lodging when they go for their training, so we're down to one last apprentice, which it's been nice to get through it.
You project out like when guys are gonna retire, because it seems to take quite a while to get everyone up to speed on how to do
It's a
this.
5-year program to
Yeah.
start as an apprentice and then work your way through it to top out.
Yeah,
I got a pretty young staff, so we're
really?
fortunate. I think our oldest line worker is early 40s, and the rest of the guys are 30s and under, so.
it doesn't seem like you'd wanna be doing that when you're 55 or 60, I'm sure.
You really don't.
Some guys
You
might
really
still be
don't.
doing it.
And
Shocking.
Yeah.
they keep bumping it up with some other utilities that I just can't imagine being 60 and climbing poles. It's
Yeah.
just physically pretty demanding.
Stairs.
Yeah, at my age, climbing the stairs is not easy. I don't do the pole top rescue stuff anymore. I used to, but I'm
No
like,
cats off the poles?
I'm not doing it anymore, no. I would be lame for a week afterwards. I used to do it just to, no.
Okay, sorry, Andrew, we've covered that. 900.
And then we're seeing a bump here because of our warrant articles and our bonds hitting the pavement on next year, so. I think that represents probably the largest increase in our budget right there.
Is there any possibility of renegotiating some of these bonds?
So
Like,
the bond bank will not
renegotiate bonds, but they do revisit them on their own. And if there is an opportunity for them to be able to renegotiate the bonds, they do that automatically. But the New Hampshire Bond Bank does not allow us to do that. We cannot pay them early either. But if I remember correctly, that particular bond that we secured last year, the effective interest rate was 0.98% for 10 years. So we are in pretty good shape.
But I was thinking about some of the older ones.
Yeah, I've got one coming off in 2023. I think one of our major, our 5.28 one is coming off real shortly.
Okay,
So, but we still have some open ones. But,
thank you.
Jump to page 22, electric generation, Department 43430.
If I can just speak to part-time wages here, as our AMR, our automated meter reading, continues to expand, our need for hours for meter readers has lessened, and therefore you'll see it goes down slightly in our request for next year for that reason. So,
Yeah, I'll get started in just a second. I just want to look at something real quick here.
This is Andy.
You jump pretty, because your debt goes
yeah,
next year, 855-768-481.
so it's 2024 comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to administration and break down on the salary so I can just see what the hourly wages are. I've got it right here.
I think those are shown at the end of each
Yeah,
section.
I've got it right here, thank you.
Yeah.
It's on page 13 for anyone else who's looking for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're back in administration.
Yeah. Okay, page 21. Excuse me. 100 series.
What's, did you ask a question? I'm sorry.
Hey, just see what page you on now.
Oh, 22, sorry.
22, yeah, okay.
We're doing electric generation?
Yeah.
You're all set with whatever it was you were looking
Yeah.
for? Okay. Electric generation, page 22, Department 43430.
Okay, 100 series. $200 series. $300.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Line 380, outside services. Looking at the actuals for the last couple, 3 years, and no one of those years that we approached the $7,000 was asked for last year or this year for that matter. So I'm just wondering if we have a situation where this couple of grand that can come out of there, based on the actuals of the last 3 years.
I can tell you, we have added a substation to our testing program. The new substation is now online, so we're currently testing an additional one. The other one's not offline yet. So there's gonna be some added costs associated with that, Bob,
Okay.
that I would, I'd hate to lower it too much.
Okay.
Let's take a look at it, the actuals, and then look at it next year and see how it comes out.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, we may be able to do something next year when I.
Okay, thank you.
400 series.
So if I can just speak a little bit to the electric, this is our purchase power contract. We are entering into a new purchase power contract in 2022 for a 5-year term. We got an extremely favorable rates. It goes down slightly here. It doesn't really go down enough to allow us to have a rate reduction. We're gonna have a presentation here shortly at the board meeting to discuss that, but we're extremely fortunate. We see other utilities in the state where their rates are going up 75, 80%. And because of this rate where we got in early. When did we get that signed, Jim? In June, July? We got in at the perfect time anyway. The price went through the roof. I'd like to just honk our own horn here for a bit because we could be paying 75% more than what this rate is, and this rate is 5 years. We're not gonna see a rate increase to our customers for at least another 5 years, so.
Yeah, if you remember correctly, in 2 years ago in the budget, we had $40,000 to hire attorneys and consultants for the purpose of the rate study, and that money was very well spent in timing this out with those two consultants and hit it perfectly.
We did. We were fortunate. We went, based on what we had received from advice from our rate consultant, we went out to bid earlier than we normally would. We went out, 9-10 months earlier than we normally would. And I'm not gonna tell you it was any great skill on my behalf.
Oh, yeah, it was, Barry.
It was, but I'll take it, because we, that's why we hire consultants in this case. They're more than well, paid for itself, and so.
Pull one out of the air, what's our 5-year savings?
A lot.
I will tell you, it'd be well over $1 million over the 5 year. I would, for some reason, I'm the number of 1.4 stands out as something we were able to shave.
And Mayhew had that in his presentation when he gave
Yeah,
it to the board.
I think
with the
we'll
rates.
we'll
So
see that
it
next
is there, and
Wednesday
you'll
if
see-
any.
Yeah, hopefully you'll see it next week.
If anybody's interested in how fortunate we were, so.
John?
Yes, sir.
Barry, I read an article that the state average is about 20 cents per kilowatt hour in the state of New Hampshire. And I believe we're coming in at about under 14 cents per kilowatt hour.
Correct. Yep.
Significant amount of money, over 6 cents per kilowatt hour savings.
I will do a rate comparison in January, once all the new rates hit, and it will depict that difference and just how much we're in a better state than most.
Very good, very good.
Okay, anything else in the polling series?
Agreed.
$600.
You can see I bumped operating supplies a bit. We've really, again, inflation, the cost of metering and equipment has gone up to the roof, so we bumped that $1,000. We spent close to 12 this year.
Okay, any other questions on electric generation?
That concludes the electric fund this evening.
Just one comment. Blind pigs and acorns. You know
Hear
what I
what he's
mean.
saying?
How's that 380 line doing, Barry? Is that all done?
Bob, take it. It was all the administrative allocations. They paid for that.
I got you. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Barry, that 380 line, the 360 line, is that all done? That new line? The one from Tufton Road that comes across, or whatever?
Yes, we completed that 3 years ago, so that's a brand new line. The 390 line's all brand new, yep.
What's the next thing, Turtle Island or anything?
So, I have one warrant article posted for next year.
Yeah.
And that is the Turtle Island Road tap, 270,000, I'm in the ballpark at 270, fairly small job.
But, that's it. I think that's 55, 60-year-old line out there,
Oh, really?
mostly off-road, so to me, it's a no-brainer that we need to do something out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
How did you get such a good parking space for your boat, your electric boat down here at the dock?
You gotta know the right people.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. We got bumped twice, so that's our, yeah. We've already been bumped twice.
Oh,
so
really?
That's the third preferred spot, yeah.
Thank you so much.
So, all right, thank you very much.
You did a
Take
great
care.
job, thanks.
Thank you. See you guys.
Okay, next thing is, I guess, is minutes. Okay, the first one we have is,
If this, you can keep it.
no, I've got it right here, thank
It's a good thing you two sit near each other.
you. Is the minutes of August 16th?
Correct.
Any motion concerning those minutes?
If nobody has any corrections, motion to accept.
Second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to adopt the minutes of August 16th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next minutes are the minutes of November 9th, 2021. Any changes or corrections? Any motions concerning these minutes?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to adopt the minutes of November 9th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is the minutes of November 10th, 2021. Anyone have any changes or corrections? Any motion concerning these minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to adopt the minutes of November 10th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one are the minutes of November 15th, 2021.
John,
Yes, sir.
on page 3, about a third of the way down, it was moved by John McDonald and seconded by John Burt to decrease line 820 from 16,000 to 10,000. I believe that was in the fire department. Maybe field training line, and I believe the accurate numbers are from 20,000 to 16,000, as I recall.
That is correct. You are correct.
Thank you.
So
Is that correct?
from 20 to
Yeah.
16?
Yeah,
Correct.
that's verified, Captain.
Okay, perfect.
And that's it for me.
All right, thank you.
What line was that? 820?
820.
42200.
One.
820.
Yeah, okay, my notes show.
Okay.
Any other changes? Any motion concerning the minutes of November 15th, 2021?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to adopt the minutes of November 15th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next minutes are the minutes of November 16th, 2021. Any changes or anything like that anyone wants to make?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to accept the minutes of November 16th, 2021. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the next one is the minutes of November 30th, 2021. Any changes on these minutes? Any motions concerning these minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, the motion is to accept the minutes of November 30th, 2021. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So that's all we have? Okay, any public input? I don't think anybody here. Anything from the town manager, KC?
Not tonight, thank you.
Okay, anything from the selectmen?
When do you figure we'll get all those lines 635 straightened out?
I would hope,
By the 20th revisit night.
that's, yeah, I would say that's a fair date. What's today anyway?
Today's 9. They have one meeting next week on the 16th. That's,
I actually put it on the 20th, so.
well, that's why, yeah.
Is that too soon though?
No, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Do you send out that revised calendar to the departments too, so that they know that what night the revisit's on?
I don't send out the revised calendar, but I actually, just prepared a list as to what we're still revisiting. Cause like the welfare, the Wolfeboro Waters you already submitted, and you submitted something else. Oh, the budget, dental and health, so we don't have to revisit those. So I just did it tonight, and I'm gonna reach out to those specific individuals that need to come back.
Could I have a copy of the revisit list to make sure it
Yeah.
agrees with what I think
Yes,
I'm supposed to be working on for you? Thank you. So,
Check it. You're not
Yeah.
gonna revisit Wolfeboro Waters?
No, what I'm saying is we wanted additional information, they have it, so if they wanna address it that night, they can.
I will be
But-
giving you others more information from the committee itself.
Oh, you
Weekdays.
have more information?
Yeah,
coming.
I'll have more
Didn't realize
exactly
that.
what
Yeah.
the lines are going for, which is what I understood they wanted to know.
Yeah.
I will get that.
The list I prepared was more of a checklist to make sure that we get the information for that night, in case, you know, I don't wanna just show up and then we don't
Yeah.
have any information, so.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was more coming for Waters.
yeah, so do you usually copy Amy on that also? Just so she can make sure the department heads are on.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone have anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.